questions that you guys have for me, or anything that you guys want to know. Not like technique, but maybe just in general, you know? Any questions?
How do you like bounce back and stay composed in a match when you're down by a lot of points and like wrestle back?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's a tough one. You know, I think one of the main things when you're down, if you're in a match, right, a big match, or just in general, you're down by some points. The main thing is trying to just know that you can. So much can happen in that amount of time to come back. You just have to trust what you're doing to be able to come back and not worry so much about how many points you have to score and give yourself more anxiety. Just let it go. You just take it point by point, everything you can to keep coming back and giving as much effort you can to make up those points. That's really what I got for that. And it's true that I've been in situations before where I haven't gotten it done, and then, you know, the things that I've learned to do it when it matters the most. I just had a big win over the two-time world champion, Olympic champ, Uguya from Russia. To become world champion, I beat him in the quarters. I was down 7-2 going into the second period. I only had 3 minutes, and I scored 7 unanswered points. So it was a crazy match that I was able to just trust in my technique and just let things go. And just go point for point, and it ended up happening.
How do you bounce back after like a big loss?
Oh, after a loss? Yeah, you have to have a short memory in tournaments. Sometimes it's really hard where you just are done and you just want to quit and you feel like you can't, but you just have to not remember that, and you try to remember to finish strong in your tournament for your own self, not just because you didn't wrestle to your best, just to stay, you know, composed and just, hey, I want to do this for myself to finish on top. Just because you had one loss, hey, it shows so much more about you than the guy that comes back to get 3rd or 5th or whatever it is that you got to finish that last match off to win. It's a lot better feeling for yourself and that for the next tournament. Yep.
How do you catch up? How do you catch up if you started late?
With wrestling? You mean like you didn't start wrestling till later in life? Honestly, it doesn't really matter. You just have to put it's where you develop. It's depending on what you work on. If you're around the right stuff and you develop, and if you have love for it and want to get better, you're going to get better. You just got to put a little more time and effort into it. Who cares? If you start late, you can't just expect to just show up for one practice and then like, oh, I'm not going to wrestle and play football instead. So that's really what it goes down to. Yep.
What do you do before like a match? How do you warm up?
I'll warm up. Routine, warm up. Make sure you get your good warm up, stretching, and try to be consistent at every tournament and every match, right? You guys don't want to just show up and like do something different each day. You got to have your own routine. Everybody has a different routine. So find yours, okay? I think that's really crucial. You get warmed up. You know, staying focused, staying relaxed, not thinking too much into it. Trust your training. You just go out. Once you shake hands, it doesn't matter anyways what you were thinking before the match is a wrestling match. So just staying relaxed and calm. Have a few little focus points that you want to focus on, and that's it. Yep. We just got to make adjustments in the match, right? We have to make we have to figure out what to keep doing to improve, make some changes, because you have to adjust in your match. You can't just keep doing the same thing and expect something different to happen, right? That my dad always told me that's the definition of insanity, right? You know what insanity is? Doing the same things over and over and over and expecting different results. How are you going to do something different if you keep doing the same thing? You can't. You have to change, even in matches, in practice. It's in general. That's important.
Something I struggle with is being aggressive in a match. What can I do to help with that?
Your training, what you do in training, you got to get aggressive in training. You make that habit. It's all about small habits. Habits build up. You make that habit, and all of a sudden, that's who you are. Little by little, you start becoming more aggressive. You're going to be more aggressive in your matches. Okay. One more question. Yeah. I got you.
How do you learn bad habits?
You got to change it. You got to stop doing them. You got to rewrite it with good habits. It takes 3 to 4 weeks to start on good habits, but totally it's like, I think it's like 80 or 90 days till you're fully set, but 3 weeks to really set a new habit and change. So you need to really, every day, break down, make a list of things you're doing good or bad. You know, getting good sleep, eating right, making a journal, visualizing, stretching, whatever it is that you want to change in your technique. You need to start from 3 weeks, and then you can start actually feeling like the habit's changing. You got a question? Position and technique. Strength doesn't matter if you have position. That in technique, that's the most important. So. not even until like my senior year maybe. And I missed a lot of opportunities. I didn't do other sports. I went to I wrestled. I hung out with friends a little bit, but not at, I went to 2 practices. Sometimes I'd go from high school straight to practice, then we'd go to another practice later, and then maybe a 3rd practice sometimes. Because I go at home, I missed out on a lot of normal things, but I sacrificed this. Being good at something or being great at something isn't easy, and it's something that you have to be willing to do and really, really love.
What do you do outside of practice, like weight-wise, cardio-wise?
We have a planned balance. I try to lift 2 to 3 times a week, depending on where my weight's at, if I'm in a situation to lift or not. Cardio is important, but wrestling is really the main place that you should be focusing on now more than lifting and cardio, especially in high school. The weights and other stuff will come later on. You can get jacked anytime, but how much time you have to be one of the best wrestlers in one meet, right? All right, guys. Thanks for having me, though. Let's break it down.